Today's feature is not the same Delonte West story you've seen all over YouTube. I've had the chance to be around Delonte West up close and personal when he was in his glory. Playing against him in college felt surreal, not because of how good he was, but how much respect he's shown to even a freshman playing garbage time trying to guard him. The coolest, most genuine big-name college player I remember him being, so seeing the roller coaster his life has become since has been sobering. He made the NBA, played 8 seasons, made over $20 million, all on the biggest stage of our craft, only for it all to be taken away and life to turn on him through a disorder he didn't ask for, substance abuse, and financial mismanagement. So the question isn't where he ended up, it's what actually happened to Delonte West. Let's talk about it. Salute to Florida's finest, 05 on IG for the request. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth. Let's get it, man. Now this is where I'm going to ask you to like, comment, and subscribe, and please share this video with as many people as you can. I would greatly appreciate it. Delonte West was a 6'3" combo guard from Washington, D.C., known early on for doing the things that kept teams together. Before the NBA, before the headlines, and before life got complicated, he was a steady presence. At St. Joseph's, West was a huge part of the system. He ran the offense at times, defended bigger guards, and played with a maturity that stood out in the Atlantic 10. By his junior season, he had become the team's best all-around player, earning first-team All-A-10 honors and helping lead the Hawks to multiple NCAA tournament appearances. He wasn't flashy, but he was trusted, and that trust mattered. When he entered the NBA in 2004, that same identity followed him. West was drafted 24th overall and immediately carved out a real role. He wasn't a star, but he was reliable, a guard who defended, moved the ball, and fit wherever he was needed. He played meaningful minutes for Boston, Seattle, Cleveland, and Dallas, starting playoff games, guarding elite scorers, and adapting to changing expectations. 8 seasons in the league across multiple teams and systems wasn't luck, but even during those stable years, subtle cracks were forming. The structure that had always kept him grounded, daily routines, coaches, accountability, and constant oversight slowly began to loosen, and as that structure faded, the balance that once defined Delonte West quietly started slipping too. Stunt number 1, when structure disappeared, everything slipped. For most of Delonte West's life, structure was the guardrail that kept everything upright. College gave him routine, the early NBA gave him rules, roles, and daily accountability. Practices, film sessions, team flights, curfews, and coaching staffs weren't just part of basketball, they were the system that kept him balanced. But as his NBA career progressed, the structure slowly weakened, and once it did, the cracks that had always been manageable became impossible to hide. The first visible sign came in 2008 when West was diagnosed with bipolar disorder while still in the league. At the time, it was treated like a footnote, something for him to push through, and nothing too serious that could threaten his immediate future as a basketball player. But bipolar disorder isn't a minor obstacle, especially in a profession built on travel, pressure, and emotional extremes. The NBA doesn't stop for mental health, especially at that time. The schedule doesn't slow down, and once a player is labeled difficult, patience gets shorter every year. As his roles changed, so did his support system. He bounced between teams, minutes fluctuated, and the daily routine that once guarded him became inconsistent. That instability didn't just affect his play, it affected his life. Without constant oversight, the coping mechanism started to replace the structure, and substances became a way to quiet the noise. Missed routines became normal. Then came the 2009 arrest involving multiple firearms, an episode that shocked people because it didn't match the Delonte West they remembered. But in hindsight, it was the clearest signal that something was wrong beneath the surface. This wasn't a player acting out, it was a person losing control without the guardrails that once kept him steady. And once the NBA moved on, the fall accelerated. No coaches checking in, no staff managing schedules, and no system to fall back on. The disorder, the addiction, and the lack of structure all collided at once. Delonte West was left trying to manage a life that no longer had rules, rhythm, or protection all alone. Stunt number 2, freedom became the enemy. When Delonte West left the NBA, it wasn't just basketball that ended. The structure protecting him disappeared completely. For most players, freedom after the league meant relief. For Delonte, it meant exposure. No schedule, no staff, no daily accountability, and no one checking in when he missed a day, then a week, then a month. And for someone already managing bipolar disorder, that kind of freedom was dangerous. Without the rhythm of the NBA, his illness stopped being managed and started running the show. Bipolar disorder thrives in chaos. Irregular sleep, financial stress, isolation, and emotional swings all feed it. And that's exactly what it looks like his life became. The discipline that once kept him balanced had vanished, and the coping mechanisms replaced it. Substance use, which had been an off-and-on issue during his career, became more central. Drugs and alcohol weren't the cause of the spiral, they were the response, a way, in my opinion, for him to relieve himself of the confusing thoughts controlling his mind and escape the shock of losing the only identity that ever kept him grounded. But the more he leaned on them, the harder stability became. Relationships faded, money ran out faster than expected, and the distance between who he was and who he had become grew wider each year. By the late 2010s, the situation had become public. Viral videos showed him disoriented, panhandling, and wandering. The internet turned his life into content, and strangers debated his pain like it was a documentary they could pause. In 2020, Mark Cuban stepped in, paid for rehab, housing, and support, and for a moment it looked like things might turn around. Delonte even worked at a rehab facility afterward, trying to stay close to the structure that once saved him. But recovery was never going to be that easy. The relapses came quietly, then loudly, and by late 2025, he was found intoxicated and unconscious in public again, followed by another arrest tied to a minor robbery, a painful reminder that the fight was ongoing. Freedom had given him space, but without the guardrails, it also gave his demons room to breathe, and every time he tried to stand up on his own, the weight of unmanaged illness and addiction pulled him right back down. Stunt number 3, still fighting. Every time Delonte West got help, the goal was the same: get him stable, not rebuild his life, not create a future, just stop the bleeding. And that, in theory, sounds good, but it's not designed for him to change direction completely. Rehab got him clean, housing got him off the street, support got him through the moment, but none of it replaced what basketball once gave him, which was a role, a routine, and a reason to wake up. That's the part most people miss. Recovery without purpose doesn't last. Delonte wasn't just fighting addiction or bipolar disorder, he was fighting empty days. No job that fit his identity, no daily responsibility that mattered, no long-term plan that made sense for someone who spent his entire life being an athlete. Most people won't understand what life is like when the ball stops bouncing. Who are you then? So when the programs ended, the help expired, and the attention faded, he was left with time. And time is dangerous when your mind doesn't slow down and you don't know who you are. That's when old habits returned, not out of weakness, but because something had to fill the space. Even the best help he received was temporary by design. Get clean, get stable, move on. But move on to what? If not basketball, what was Delonte West going to become? There was no system waiting for him, no second structure, no new lane built for who he was after basketball. So every recovery reset him to zero. By late 2025, when the arrest came again, people called it another failure. But it wasn't a failure, it was the same unfinished rebuild collapsing again. Delonte wasn't losing the fight, he was fighting a life that never fully reconstructed. And that's why he's still fighting. Not to get back to who he was, but to survive without a blueprint for who he's supposed to be now. And that's the saddest part of it all. All in all, Delonte West's story isn't about how hard he fell, it's about how hard it is to stay standing when structure disappears. He made the league, earned respect, and lived the dream. But when basketball ended, the system that kept him balanced ended with it. What followed wasn't one collapse, but a long fight with bipolar disorder, addiction, and who knows what else. What makes his story heavy isn't the headlines, it's that it's unresolved. Even now, there are moments where it looks like he's trying again, taking steps forward and reaching for stability that no one ever sees. And then setbacks that remind you that his fight never had a clean finish line. Delonte West never stopped fighting. He just ran out of guardrails that kept him structured and kept him balanced. Salute, much respect to Delonte West. Hope he gets better one day. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.